Hello, James here. Hope you all doing well. Well, I'm going to do another controversial video that's centered around America's old pastime and what America chooses not to do to this day. What happened to these elderly women that happened over, let's say, back in the 1930s and the Tulsa, Oklahoma massacre. And these women were asking for reparations. But people say it was to the past. But after I show you this video, I'm going to show you what's happening in the present. That from the past into the present, what's still going on during their time is happening now. This is for the people that said it's only in the past.
Online fitness programs.
Let me see if I can get it here.
One of the most deadly massacres on American land. They literally went in and bombed black people. Why? Because they were more successful than they were. They bombed black people out of pure jealousy. This was at the time of the Depression. Them folks were broke. These folks were wealthy. And because they pulled themselves up by the bootstraps, they were killed for that reason. This place is evil. It's evil. It's evil. And they showed their true colors. They denied 2 survivors of a massacre. Give me 1 second, y'all. Okay. So, this, it's like a tragedy all over again, is what we're looking at. And I'm glad it happened early enough for me to go live to let you know what's going on. But it just goes to show you this country is way too evil and way too hateful to do the right thing. You can't have people with these evil mindsets that are running things and trust that same person to do the right thing. These are the same ignorant fools that are running around here talking about it's going to be a reset and they're going to remain in charge. Ladies and gentlemen, that would mean the Most High has no justice in him at all if he let these people go on and continue to run things. They have to be brought down. They have to be. This happened for a reason. Now, I know, they can atone and repent and do the right thing. I know all of that, y'all. I know all of that. I want them to get the full brunt of that punishment. Am I wrong for feeling that way? No, I want them to get the 100% brunt of the judgment that's coming down on them. That's what I want for them. So since they don't want anything good for me, I don't want nothing good for them. Period. Yeah, Dr. Sharon, I actually did a story on that. Yeah, that's Evanston. Yeah, I did a story on that a few days ago. hmm I mean, this is sick. These two could, I know they're over 100 years old, but that money could have been passed down to their generations. But they don't want to right their wrongs. These people are so evil, they don't want to right their wrongs, which means they are not remorseful for what happened to Black Wall Street. This is proof of it. They have no remorse about what happened to Black Wall Street. And, we know they're undercounting the amount of people that were killed. We know that. They always do that when it's us. Everything's an undercount when it comes down to our deaths. Everything's an undercount. So, my prayers to this family. I really do feel bad for these two survivors because it's almost like they got a slap in the face. 102 years later in court, the courts decided to slap two elderly women in their face and tell them, yeah, we know what happened to you, but nah, we ain't gonna give you nothing. Bye. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable, but this was the outcome, going all the way to the Supreme Court. And if you remember, it was a federal judge that threw their case out prior to this. It was a conservative judge that did that. And then it went up to the Supreme Court because they appealed the case. And the Supreme Court, as you've seen, the very lily-white Supreme Court threw the case out. Okay, so you can see there's no black justices on the Oklahoma Supreme Court, and they dismissed the lawsuit. This is the last Tulsa massacre survivors. They were seeking reparations. And Wednesday, they dismissed the lawsuit by the 1921 Tulsa, Oklahoma race massacre in hopes of advocates for racial justice in the city would make financial amends with them for the single worst act of violence against black people in U.S. history. Yeah, they bombed a black community out of jealousy. That left, they said 300, but many people said it was way more than that. The once thriving district was smoldering in ruins, and you can see that in the background of the picture. So it was a 9-member Supreme Court that upheld the decision made by the district court judge in Tulsa last year. Remember, that judge, pretty much dismissed it. So they said they were going to fight on, and they did. Look, these two women did more than many survivors in their situation. So, I know they didn't get what they want, but look, these women over 100 years old, and they're still trying to fight for what's right. So this is what they came up with, y'all. The plaintiffs do not point to any physical injury to property in Greenwood, rendering it uninhabitable, that could be resolved by way of injunction or other civil remedy. The court wrote in its decision, today we hold the relief is not possible under any set of facts that could be established consistent with the plaintiff's allegation. Messages left Wednesday with the survivor's attorney, Demario Solomon Simmons, were not immediately returned, but that was the reason that the Oklahoma Supreme Court gave. So the city said in a statement that it respects the court's decision and affirms the significance of the work the city continues to do in North Tulsa and Greenwood communities, adding that it remains committed to working with residents and providing resources to support the community. These people are full of crap. These people are full of crap. The suit was an attempt to force the city of Tulsa and others to make recompense for the destruction of the once thriving black district by a white mob. In 1921, on May 31st and June 1st, the white mob, including some people hastily deputized by authorities, looted and burned the district, which was referred to as Black Wall Street. As many as 300, and we know that's an undercount, of black Tulsans were killed. Thousands of survivors were forced for a time into internment camps. So they put them in concentration camps, y'all. That's what they did. Overseen by the National Guard. And it just goes to show you the government participated in that massacre. Burnt bricks and fragmented of a church basement. So they were kept in this location and overseen by the National Guard. So, so they took out 30 blocks in a black district because they were thriving and they did not like it. You know, you got to look at it this way. They went from the slave field to being millionaires and they couldn't handle it. That's what these black folks did. They went from the slave field to becoming millionaires. The two survivors of the attack, Leslie Benningfield Randall and Viola Fletcher, who are both over 100 years old, sued in 2020 with the hopes of seeing what their attorney called justice in their lifetime. The third plaintiff, and that was Viola Fletcher's brother, Hughes Van Ellis, died last year at the age of 102. The court also determined the plaintiff's allegation did not significantly support a claim for unjust enrichment, which it said are typically limited to a contractual relationship. These people are full of crap. These are two women who were children at the time, and they were there. And even when you are physically there, they're still sitting in your face, insulting your intelligence and telling you it's still not enough evidence. These people are full of crap and will do anything to get out of taking accountability for what was done to these two women and their community. So even when there are survivors, you don't take no accountability. Wow.
We've got great news for seniors. the Social Security Administration has made a small...
Racism is a complex and deeply rooted issue that has plagued nations across the world for centuries. It involves any distinction, exclusion, restriction, or preference based on race, color, descent, or national or ethnic origin that undermines the equal enjoyment of human rights and fundamental freedoms. Despite significant progress in many areas, racism continues to manifest in various forms, from subtle everyday interactions to overt institutional policies. Understanding how racism operates globally helps us recognize its impact on specific communities and regions. In this video, we are going to take a look at America's most racist towns, exploring the historical and contemporary factors that contribute to their notoriety. These towns have made our list due to their persistent racial tensions, discriminatory practices, and the lived experiences of their residents. Stay tuned to the end for some unexpected trivia about the names of places that you probably never thought about. Without further ado, here are America's most racist towns in no particular order. Number 10, Harrison. Harrison sits in Boone County in northern Arkansas, just on the border of Missouri. The town has been dubbed the most racist town in America, and that legacy goes deep, both historically and contemporarily. A viral video made by Bob Bliss did little favors for the town. He made a video called "Holding a Black Lives Matter Sign in America's Most Racist Town." What followed was 3 days of abuse, racial slurs, ironic since Bliss is white, and even direct death threats. While many residents have been challenging this reputation, it's an uphill battle when your town serves as the headquarters and mailing address for the Ku Klux Klan. The town's history is no better. Arkansas, a former slave state, gained notoriety with the Harrison race riots of 1905 and 1909, where the town violently removed all but one black man, creating an all-white community. The town has been working to rid itself of its legacy, and since 2003 has had a community task force on race relations to combat racism. The task force has been successful in removing offensive billboards, and a petition to remove one particular billboard received over 8,000 signatures. Also, Kevin Cherie, a prominent African-American community leader, was honored with the Arkansas Martin Luther King Commission's Trailblazer Award in 2019 for his efforts in promoting diversity and service. Number 9, Anchorage. Black Americans aren't the only victims of racism, and this city has almost an invisible form of prejudice against Native Alaskans, though Alaska Natives make up only 60.
I think I showed that video, I'm sorry. I showed it on a previous video. But I want to show, sorry about that. But I want to show you a couple stories.
You have more important things in life to think about than your
I didn't mean
internet.
to go that. I showed that video.
We propel life forward with...
On Sunday, the 22nd of October, a 46-year-old father of two named Rudy Tessimer was supposed to be off on a spiritual retreat in the town of Mercer in Wisconsin when he would mysteriously disappear without a trace. He was reported missing soon after by his friends when they noticed his sudden absence from the group, but by then it was already too late, as it would appear that Rudy was nowhere to be found. Sightings of the 46-year-old would soon come in, with witnesses claiming to have seen a man matching his description walking around in bare feet in the Mercer area, but unfortunately, these leads would inevitably come up empty upon investigation. So, with Rudy now being missing for almost 3 months, many are starting to wonder, did he simply decide to leave his old life behind in search of a spiritual journey? Or could he be the next victim of the racial inequality that still plagues the state of Wisconsin to this day? Namrud Wegata Tessimer, otherwise known as Rudy, was born to his Ethiopian parents in the year 1977, alongside his younger sister, Rowena Tessimer. But at some point during his childhood, he would later move to New York and eventually settle in the city of Rochester. Little else is known about his younger years, but as he moved into adolescence, it was always clear that he was destined for great things, with his energetic demeanor and infectious personality leading the young man to have many friends growing up. So, based on this, it came as no surprise to his family that he would ultimately settle down and have two beautiful children, who he would go on to care for extremely deeply. Now, there isn't too much more to say about his family life, but I think it would be safe to assume that his relationship with the children's mother would eventually end, for reasons unknown. But despite this seemingly bad news, this certainly didn't appear to break Rudy's positive spirit. However, one particular aspect of this high-energy personality was that alongside his unwavering zest for life, Rudy was also known to be quite eccentric, which for the most part just made the already charismatic man even more charming. But this constant quest for adventure would soon land the father of two in a world of trouble, when he would suddenly disappear on that fateful day in October. On Saturday the 21st of October, the 46-year-old man was FaceTiming with his sister, Rowena, telling her all about the spiritual journeys that he had been on with his friends and all of the wonderful things he had experienced. According to his family, a few weeks earlier, Rudy had spontaneously decided to temporarily leave his life behind in search of adventure across America, as he had developed a keen interest in Native American culture and their traditions. Rowena would later explain that spirituality was always incredibly important to her brother, and his faith was a big part of his personality. So although it did come as somewhat of a surprise to hear that Rudy would be leaving for an unknown period of time, the news didn't come as too much of a shock either, given his strong appetite for spontaneity. But sooner or later, the FaceTime call came to an end, and the siblings said their goodbyes, with Rudy still appearing to be in his usual high spirits. However, little did Rowena know at the time that this would be the last time she would ever hear from her older brother, as during the middle of the following night, Rudy would once again decide to spontaneously leave his friends behind, but this time, never to be seen again. On Monday the 23rd of October, a friend of Rudy's named Bizarak Jebramichael awoke that morning and immediately noticed his mysterious absence from the group. Confused by the situation, they decided to speak with some of the other members to see if anybody else knew where Rudy was or why he had left, but strangely, nobody could come up with a good answer. One friend mentioned that they saw him walking off during the middle of the night, but assumed he was just going for a walk or something and would be back soon enough. So, after hearing that Rudy never returned, a dark cloud started to emerge over the group, as they realized that the 46-year-old father of two could be in serious danger. Well, not long later, a missing person report was filed with the Iron County Sheriff's Department, and the search was on, with police sending officers out to his last known location to gather evidence. Locals were questioned to see if they had spotted the unique-looking man during either Sunday night or the early hours of Monday morning, and at first, they didn't have too much luck. But eventually, one particular witness came forward, claiming to have seen a man that matched Rudy's appearance during that Sunday night, and according to them, he was walking barefoot at the time along Maple Ridge Road, wearing blue jeans and a dark-coloured flannel shirt. So, based on the detail of this description, alongside the recollections of his friends, it became clear to the police that this sighting was almost definitely Namru Tessima. And so, with this update in the case, the Sheriff's Department widened their search.
I'm no author, and yet I sell literally thousands of books on Amazon every single month. And the crazy...
On Sunday the 19th of November, many of the local police departments collaborated on a statewide search, utilizing resources such as canine units and drones, in the hopes that they would find the missing man before it was too late. Alongside the efforts of the police, however, Rudy's family also chipped in, with his parents even flying in from outside of the country in order to lend a hand in the search. Together, they then travelled out to Iron County in Wisconsin, as well as other surrounding counties, to ensure that they didn't leave any stone unturned. According to Rowena Tessima, they checked gas stations, places of worship, truck stops, restaurants, anywhere that he might have stopped in, or anywhere that there was a lot of foot traffic, so people could get familiar with his face. In addition to this, the family also began working with local Native American tribes and even hired a private investigator to commence their own investigation into the case. They also launched multiple social media campaigns, put up billboards, lawn signs, and eventually started offering a reward for any information that may lead to his discovery. But the efforts didn't stop there, as the chief deputy for the Iron County Sheriff's Department, named Mike Randall, later came out to say that the police department had been working with the FBI, Rudy's hometown police department in Rochester, and even the Wisconsin Department of Justice. So it would be safe to say that at the time, spirits were relatively high that Rudy would have to turn up eventually. However, despite the enormous efforts of everybody involved, it soon became apparent that after weeks of hard work, Rudy was still nowhere to be seen, and frustratingly, they were no closer to finding him than when they had first started. Now, unfortunately, as far as the official investigation goes, this is all we know for now. But after seeing the dedication from Rudy's family and friends to find the missing father, I would like to remain hopeful that he will turn up eventually. And to be completely transparent, there was one potential lead that was investigated in December, where a caller from the neighboring town of Clover in Wisconsin stated that he saw a man matching Rudy's description. But despite the initial confidence in these claims, the Clover police were not able to find him, leaving the authorities scratching their heads once again as to where to look next. And with Rudy being missing now for almost 3 months, the likelihood of his safe return is only growing thinner. So, with that, let's get into some of the potential theories. Now, just before I start, I wanted to quickly mention that the following ideas have not been corroborated by the police or the Tessima family, but rather they've been gathered from across the internet as well as from myself, so I implore you to draw your own conclusions based on the evidence put forward. But saying this, I personally feel that unlike a lot of the cases I've covered on this channel, there is something about this one that gives me genuine hope that Rudy's story will have a happy ending. Perhaps it's his uplifting spirit that's rubbing off on me from my research, but I truly believe it will only be a matter of time before we find him. Now, I'm not saying that Rudy's disappearance was planned per se, but given his spontaneous personality, I wouldn't be surprised if he had simply decided to go off-grid with the aim of living a peaceful life of solitude. After all, before his disappearance, he had been behaving slightly more eccentric than usual. You could of course put this down to a sudden change in his state of mental health, or you could assume Rudy always had it in the back of his mind that he would not be returning home. But either way, this isn't one of those cases where a city dweller suddenly goes missing in the desert, but rather a spiritual man who has gone missing after claiming to be in search of adventure. Maybe mental health did play a part in his impulsive decision making, but that doesn't mean he wouldn't be able to look after himself, especially if he has found an indigenous Native American community to live with, who are not in communication with the general public. However, once again, I should clarify that this explanation is just from my own perspective, and so I am willing to keep an open mind that something else may have happened to Rudy. But if he didn't decide to leave on his own accord, what else could explain his strange disappearance on that night in October?
Y'all heard the news, right? The southern border in Texas is still letting migrants in.
Oh boy. I'm going to show you another case.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to my channel, Runaway Slave. I would like to give a big up to all my subs and supporters who like, comment, and share the videos. In addition, a special big up to all those who purchased my masterpiece, my book, The N-Word is No Secret in the Service. Big up to you all. Let's cook. Okay, people, big shout out to the sub Sean for this one here. Now, this story right here took place in the year of 2022 in Toledo, Ohio. And it's just now being resolved now in 2024. But what happened is basically a group of white adult thugs out of Toledo, Ohio got together, brutalized, kidnapped, and took the lives of 2 black youths. Okay, there were 10 people involved in this. There were 10 people from the white community involved, 8 adults, 2 juveniles. Out of these 8 adults, 2 of these adults looked to be some kind of Latino descent, and the rest all white American people, okay? White American people, okay? And they got together and took the lives of these 2 black teens, threw their bodies in a house and burnt the house down. Just terrible. And these teenagers, they were taken out by one of their white girlfriend's family. It's always a Becky, right? Always a Becky, a Boo Bear involved or something like that. It was one of their white girlfriend's families or that community that they're from that did this, okay? Now these 2 teenagers, 16-year-old Kamarion Wilder and 15-year-old Kaishawn Pittman, they were the victims here. Now, 16-year-old Kamarion Wilder, he's the one that had the white girlfriend, and her family played a part in taking these boys out. The community that his girlfriend's family came from played a part in taking these boys, these young men out, these teenage, I don't want to call them, yeah, they are boys, they're teenagers, taking them out. And I'm talking about the grandma, the aunts, the uncles, all that, okay? All that. Now these 2 teens here, 16-year-old Kamarion Wilder and 15-year-old Keyshawn Pittman, it's not hard to tell that they were into some low vibrational things at this point in their young lives, okay? They were not, at this time, they were not young children who were, you know, doing well in life as far as going to school, playing sports, being in some type of activities, preparing themselves for their future, things like that. That's not what they were doing. They were living at this time low vibrational lives, but they were young enough to the point where something could have happened and they could have woke up, turned their lives around, and did something positive so that they could be successful, but now they would not get that chance at all. Now the story goes, there were 2 white American men by the name of Brent Kohlhofer and Charles Walker, okay? These 2 white American men, their houses were broken into. Brent Kohlhofer and Charles Walker. There's also a guy by the name of Cruz Garcia. His mother's house was broken into also. And a white American person by the name of Corbin Genrick, he was also robbed. Now, they claim that they were robbed and their houses were broken into by these 2 young men here, Keyshawn and Kamarion. They said that their houses were broken into by these 2, okay? So they wanted some get back, they wanted some retaliation for this. They said that these young men broke into their houses, stole guns, stole drugs, things like that. Of course, you can see people, it's all low vibrational. So what happened was on Saturday, December 3rd of 2022, these 2 young teenagers, Keyshawn and Kamarion, they were at a cabin party at a place called Maumee Bay State Park. Maumee Bay State Park, or Maumee Bay State Park, is Maumee, okay? They were at this place called Maumee Bay State Park at around 8:14 p.m. They're at a cabin party. Now the host of this party kicked these 2 out of the party because one of them had brandished a gun. So they had a gun, they say. Now after they were kicked out of the party, Kamarion Wilder's white girlfriend called them an Uber. Now, I believe that Kamarion Wilder's white girlfriend got the money from her uncle, okay, to call them an Uber and take them home. So this Uber is going to take them to the house of Kamarion Wilder's girlfriend, her uncle, okay? It's her house. That's where she lives. That's where the white girlfriend lives. But this is her uncle's house and his girlfriend. Her uncle's name is Corbin Genrick, and his girlfriend is Carissa Ames or something like that. In addition, Corbin Genrick's mother, Crystal Yangling, is also at this house, or she lives at this house. So So the Uber is going to come and bring them to this house, okay? The house of Kamarion Wilder's girlfriend. This house is owned by her uncle, Corbin Ginrich, and his girlfriend, Carissa Ames, and also Corbin Ginrich's mother, who is this girlfriend's grandmother. Her name is Crystal Yangling. They're at this house. So these young men, these two, Kamarion Wilder and Keyshawn Pittman, they go to this house and they go down into the basement of this house. Now, they know for a fact that these two were at this house because they have proof that they were chatting on Facebook video or something like that when they were at this house. They went and did the whole footprint and checked, and they know for a fact that they were on Facebook video or Messenger video or whatever, chatting it up at this house while they're in the basement. But they had no clue of what was about to happen. They were lured there for some vigilante justice, for some get back, okay? So what happened is eventually these two black teenagers, these two, Kamarion Wilder and Keyshawn Pittman, they were bum rushed, okay? They were bum rushed by people, a bunch of adults. I don't know how many actually did the bum rushing part, okay? These adults took their guns, tied them up with HDM cables, and proceeded to beat them, pistol whip them, strangle them right there in the basement so nobody could hear them screaming. They were beat to death and strangled, blunt force trauma. They literally just beat these two to death, lifeless. After that, they duct taped them, put them in Charles Walker's car. Charles Walker is one of the friends. He's part of this as well. Again, like I said, people, there are 10, actually there are 11 people that participated in this. I don't know the extent of how each one of them, like, who beat them with this, who tried them up with this, whatever. I don't know, but they're all in it. Charles Walker, they took them and put them in Charles Walker's trunk. Now, Charles Walker, this guy right here, he's an alleged killer already. In the year of 2016, they had him hemmed up for the murder of 2 teens, and they dropped those charges due to issues over evidence. So he might have got that off with that murder, those 2 murders in 2016. So he's a real low vibrational, sinister kind of individual. Pale thug out here in Ohio. Many of them out there, people. So what he did was they drove these bodies to a vacant house on a street called Chase Street, put their bodies in the house, lit the house on fire. In the meantime, these two, their families do not know where they're at. They're concerned. They put in a missing persons report. They were missing for about 2 weeks, and eventually their bodies were found, and they understand their bodies were in this house that was up in flames, okay? That's what happened to these two people. This group of people that did these to these 2 teens, they are a group of Ohio white trash. I mean, these are the type of people who aren't invited to the dinner by other white people. This is what you call white trash, Ohio. There's a lot of it out there, people. In places like Ohio and Pennsylvania, there's a lot of these type of white trash people, these white trash communities, okay? When the police searched the homes, the first home that these youths were taken to, they found guns, they found drugs, just a whole bunch of criminal element stuff, okay? And this is how it is out here, people, in these communities, in these low vibrational white communities in places like Ohio. There's a lot of them out there in Pennsylvania as well. These are the type places. This was Toledo, Ohio here, and these are the type places, people, where they have a lot of these communities in Ohio, also in Pennsylvania, and other places that you may know of. It's hard for black people, okay? If you're a black person who does okay for yourself, you're trying to make it, you know, you live a good, maybe you went to school, maybe you have a pretty good life, you want to buy a house, you want to do productive things. It's hard for black people in these type of places because if you do, you have to live around white folks who clearly don't want you to be there, okay? If you want to go buy a house in a pretty decent suburb, you have to live around white people who clearly don't want you to be there from the white community, and these people will hurt you. They will hurt you. Don't get it twisted. And if not, if you can't live around them, you're stuck with these low vibrational white trash communities with drugs and these fat boo bear white chick types, you know, drug addicts and everything, you know, pale white thuggies and all that, who the black people who live around them often reproduce with them and then you have a whole community of biracial people, black people, white people, and they all just living in this ghetto trash. You know, it's one of them type places, people. Real nasty places to be. They also have these places in community, a lot of them in Ohio, Pennsylvania, and it's really messed up. People, you remember the story that I did in Pennsylvania with a young black man? He was chased home by white kids from school. They lured him out the house. He had sickle cell, and eventually he died from these complications. They were chasing him, trying to get him out the house for a while. Well, look where he lived. Look at his parents' house. Look at how nice that community looks. Okay? That's what I'm trying to explain. And the same thing happened to him. So he had a family who did okay. They wanted to live in a nice area, of course, you know. So they bought the house in that community. But it's Pennsylvania. It's a different thing out there. When you're black, you're going to have to deal with the same violent white supremacists in a white community, in a nice community. And if not, you got to go live in these nasty communities with all these white trashy people and these old fat boo bear white chicks and these little skinny nasty people, drugs and things like that. And the black people often reproduce with these people. They have a whole bunch of biracials and stuff out there. No disrespect to any biracials and nothing like that, but I'm just trying to explain to you these nasty communities. You don't want to live there if you're a black person who's productive. It's like you living in the ghetto, then you're living around these white trash, you know, white people, you know. You don't want to live there. Then if you try to go live in a place where they have nice houses, the community is nicer, the schools might be nicer, you also have to deal with violent white people who hate you, and they'll hurt you as well. As you can see what happened to the young brother in Pennsylvania right there. So this is the type of community out here in Toledo, Ohio, that these young black men were living at, okay? And they were also into some low vibrational things. They were not living a good life, you know? But it's just a shame, you know, that they didn't get an opportunity to change their lives, and they got caught up in this. And this whole group of white people, these white, we talking from the grandmoms all the way down, people, got together and beat them to death and burned them, okay? Now, what happened is recently, two white American men who were in this by the name of Charles Walker and Brent Kohlhofer, they were just sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The rest of the people from this clique, there was somebody named Cruz Garcia. He's facing 2 counts of aggravated murder, 2 counts of murder, 2 counts of kidnapping, 1 count of obstructing justice, 1 count of having weapons under disability, 1 count of trafficking in marijuana, and he's to be sentenced on June 20th, okay? He'll probably be getting life as well. Then Carissa Eames, white woman, she's facing 2 counts of murder. She's going to be sentenced on June 25th. Don Eames facing 2 counts of murder and 2 counts of kidnapping. He's going to be sentenced on June 25th. Corbin Gingrich, okay? This is the white girlfriend's uncle. He's facing 2 counts of murder and 2 counts of kidnapping. And for some reason, they are sealing Corbin Ginrich's information, okay? This is the white girlfriend's uncle. This is the house that it happened at, okay? They also have a 14 and a 17-year-old juvenile. Both are facing 2 counts of complicity to commit murder, 2 counts of complicity to commit. They got 1 year and 6 months in jail. They got 1 year and 6 months. Do not have their pictures because they are juveniles or their names. Also, a white woman named Crystal LaForge Yangling, and also somebody named Diamond Rivera. They are both facing obstruction of justice charges. They were already sentenced. They got 270 days in prison and 36 months of community control. Again, Crystal LaForge Yangling and Diamond Rivera, they were sentenced to 270 days and 36 months for obstruction of justice, okay? So, I mean, people, it's something how this entire group of adults, you know, in this white community all got together and took out these 2 teenagers that's deep. You know, people, here's the deal, man. Here's the deal. And I said this numerous times before about young black men messing with white girls and white women. This is what I said before, and I'm going to keep repeating this. Now, for the young black men, it may not be your girlfriend that you are with, or even your wife, your fiance, whatever. It may not be the white girlfriend that you are with that's going to take you out, lynch you, put your belt around your neck, push you off a boat, or, you know, beat you to death and burn you. But what I said numerous times is her peoples will do it. If they're white, they have people in their family who are white supremacists and who also are violent. That's undefeated. It may not be all of them, but all it takes is one. Now, you may be in a situation thinking, okay, well, she wouldn't do that, she ain't like that. But she got cousins and uncles and other people in her community and friends of these cousins and uncles and aunts, whoever, who will do this to you. You may go over their house, they may have it all set up. They may have it all set up. Oh, like we're gonna invite Christy. Hey, Christy, you coming to the cookout? Yeah, I'm coming. Hey, bring Keyshawn. Bring Jaden. Oh yeah, they're coming too. Keyshawn and Jaden, he's coming. Okay, you sure they're coming? Yeah, we're gonna all come. Okay, make sure you bring them. And the white girlfriend might not even know that these boys are walking into a whole picnic, if you know what I mean. Walking into a real lynching. She might not even know, but they're using her. But when she finds out that they did it, she's not gonna go against the grain. Your white wife, your white girlfriend, your white fiance, she might not have wanted to do that to you. She might not have even known, but she's not going to go against the grain of her peoples right there. I'm telling you, that's how it goes down. In this situation right here, the white girlfriend called the Uber, got the money from her uncle.
At the free Master Mentors Live.
I've got a hack that makes investing even more rewarding. Called Ticker, a platform that helps you discover perks. Support. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for your thumbs up, for your comments, and thank you for sharing the videos. Thank you for all you do to support the channel. And yes, we are commanded to love one another, whether we want to or not, or whether we agree with each other or not. Y'all remember this scene, right? This was where the angry father got up on the stage during graduation and pushed the superintendent off the stage because he said he did not want this man to touch his daughter. This man in the inset is the superintendent, and he was the only black person on the stage in front of the whole graduation class. This clown gets up and pushes him out of the way so he can't shake his daughter's hand. Now, this is from TMZ, and it says, Wisconsin superintendent won't accept dad's apology after storming grad stage. I don't think I much blame him. He knew better than that. He knew better than that. He did that to make a scene. He thought he was going to be the hero of the town, but apparently the people didn't think that was such a great idea. He ruined those children's graduation. Superintendent Rainey Briggs, who was on stage at Baraboo High School during the now infamous graduation ceremony, told media outlets attorneys for Matthew Eddy contacted him Monday with an informal apology from the dad, but it sounds like it didn't go over well. Well, he should have called himself. Briggs told Daily Mail, an apology just doesn't make things go away. He says Eddie caused a lot of harm by rushing the stage and physically preventing Briggs from shaking his daughter's hand. As we reported, video shows Eddie waiting near the stage for his daughter to walk across before bolting over to Briggs and shoving him away as his daughter approached with her diploma.
Yes, he did that, and clearly did not consider the impact that was going to make on his daughter, on the superintendent, on the student body, and the school as a whole. This story has gone viral all over the world. And there he is looking silly, doing something that somebody would have done back in the 1920s or 30s. He is very outdated. The time has really passed for this kind of foolishness. At first, some believe race was a factor here because Briggs is black and Eddie is white, but there's been no evidence of that thus far. And Eddie told cops his beef with Briggs was because he disliked Briggs over past issues involving the school and his kid. Well, you would have to be a fool to think that race didn't play some part in this man's actions, even considering the fact that there had been complaints about racism and anti-Semitism at that school before now. In 2021, they took a class photo of a group of boys doing the Nazi salute. So to say that race was not a factor is really trying too hard not to make race a factor.
What would life be like without paying utility bills? Well, there's people.
Okay. Well, what is my comment after this one? America won't do what is past, what is present. You see things that's passed down from generation to generation. And even at these young people, you see what a reflection of the past. But yet, people don't want to discuss topics like this. To some point, till it got really extreme. And some people can turn it and twist it, and it don't matter, but it all comes back to one thing. It comes back down to race. I mean, what more can this last video, the father, I mean, to the point that it was his handshake. He wasn't going to give her a hug or anything. Wasn't going to give her a kiss or a hug, just shaking her hand. But you see how the subconscious of hatred against black people is? That subconsciously someone can be that prejudiced, and you see it play out. And with the young men, it was a sad situation. I don't know if that did happen, but they didn't deserve to get beat like that. That was just way too extreme. That was way overboard. And then you hear about the one guy that town where he's missing. I played part of the video because I don't know how that commentator is. That town was no KKK town in Wisconsin. Later in that video, and with the Tulsa, Oklahoma video with Lisa Gerbera, she was absolutely right. And they did it for the elderly Japanese, the elderly Jewish people. They done it for the elderly Native American Indians, but they won't do it for the elderly Black Americans. That they will not do this to. And you know what? After seeing this, America's going to pay. America's going to find out all the evil that she's done. That's one of the many reasons why. Is some other stuff coming down the pipe? Because she refused to repent. She used to take accountability, and some people are used to. So that's why to pay up and do the right thing. And so that's why it's not gonna be nice down the road. And the only way for some people to feel what black people feel is when the same people who did this to black people the same individuals in the courts of law, the same individuals who are descendants of the people, it will literally take another nation to snatch their children up and take their children to a far land and put them in subjugation with how they did black people. That's the only way they would understand it. Overpower this country's military power and start taking Americans like this and just take them away. I heard, and that's the only way. Just because I'll think about that, what that prophet said, that America, what she done, and it, shout out to Celestial from the Master Voice. She said that one of the cases that was one of the reasons why, along with the adultery to fornication, all the other things, taking God out and just really and putting your influence in different parts of the world and taking what we take out of America and put that part and influencing other people and things that God opposes, some things that God opposes. It's going to come back and hit us in the face. And I do believe when she said that. And I believe that's the only way, if black people don't get reparations, then what can you say? The people are going to wish that they have give reparations because what's coming down the pipe. And the only way they're going to feel it, what we felt, it take another group of people is going to have to really subdue this nation. And maybe we'll get half the break. We probably won't suffer as much and put it back on them. And the ones who did the descendants of the slaves like that, all the way up to this present day, they're going to have to pay the price. And so even if they do, because I don't care how many black people you can put on TV to show that you harm, and he might agree, she might agree, that's not going to do any good. I mean, there were slaves during the time of they probably was good buddies with the co-masters, but it didn't stop what was about to come. And this is what they're gonna find out one day. This racism stuff. Why do I dwell on stuff like this? Because someone needs a wake-up call. And it's going to come sooner than the people, what they've done to us as generation after generation. And if they don't want to take accountability, they're going to see what accountability is down the road. And I believe, like that prophet said, I believe it's going to happen. God's going to answer for this injustice. So even though one day those ladies expire, whenever he take them home, he's going to reassure them he's going to get justice for them on America. Believe that. And believe that they might get away, but they don't get by. That's the message. And somewhere in the future, America ain't going to keep getting away with stuff like this. Ain't going to keep covering up. You can do whatever you can do, but you can't stop whatever's the judgments that's coming for what you've done. And you will pay. One way or the other, you will pay. So that's the moral of the story. And for the black people that keep on pushing, keep on yelling. If they don't give us the reparation, then they will seek the recompense. Then they will find out. Then they'll be in tears when their children's children have to suffer. But that maybe that's going to have something to take to understand what we felt for 400 something years. Maybe it's time for them to feel the same wrath. Maybe it's time for them to think that we three-fifths of human being. And I hope, and for the people that tried, and for the white people that did try to warn them, they're going to say, we told you. We told you. Didn't want to listen to us. You called us in lovers and everything else. Now, those same ones that said that to them, they're going to hey, it is what it is. So alright then, this has been an interesting video. Yeah, shout out to the channels, subscribe to the channels, and I see you on next video, and be blessed and hang in there, because time is running up and America fate is at the door. Be blessed, take care.